How to become unmoved by everyone's opinion. Stoic philosophy: there comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that much of their suffering has not been caused by reality itself, but by their relationship to the opinions of other people. A careless remark ruins an entire day. A look of disapproval lingers in the mind for weeks. The fear of judgment prevents action, silences ambition, and slowly transforms a capable human being into a prisoner of imagined criticism. Most people spend years chasing something they can never fully obtain: universal approval. They adjust their personalities, suppress their convictions, and sacrifice their peace in exchange for acceptance. Yet no matter how carefully they perform, someone always disapproves. Someone always criticizes. Someone always misunderstands. The Stoics recognized this truth centuries ago. They understood that the desire to control how others perceive us is one of the most exhausting and futile pursuits imaginable. While many philosophies attempt to change the world around you, Stoicism begins by asking a far more important question: what exactly belongs to you? This question appears simple, but it contains the foundation of inner freedom. According to the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, some things are within our control and some things are not. Within our control are our judgments, choices, actions, values, and responses. Outside our control are the opinions of others, their emotions, their reactions, their approval, and their condemnation. The tragedy of human life begins when these categories become confused. Most people devote enormous energy to controlling things that have never belonged to them. They try to manage how others think, what others say, and how others interpret their actions. They become emotionally dependent on outcomes that are fundamentally beyond their reach. Imagine attempting to control the weather through sheer force of will. You would quickly exhaust yourself and accomplish nothing. Yet every day, millions of people attempt something equally impossible. They try to control the minds of others. The Stoics saw this as a form of self-inflicted slavery. Marcus Aurelius, perhaps the most powerful man in the world during his reign as Roman emperor, repeatedly reminded himself that the judgments of others were ultimately irrelevant to his character. He understood that reputation exists in the minds of other people. Character exists within oneself. This distinction changes everything. Reputation is fragile because it depends on forces outside your control. Character is powerful because it depends entirely on your choices. A person can spread lies about you. They can misunderstand your intentions. They can criticize your decisions. They can mock your ambitions. Yet none of these actions have the power to damage your character unless you surrender your judgment to them. The moment you allow someone else's opinion to determine your worth, you hand them authority over your emotional state. Most people never notice how often they do this. A stranger leaves a negative comment online, and suddenly their confidence collapses. A coworker offers criticism, and self-doubt takes root. A family member expresses disappointment, and guilt begins consuming the mind. Notice what is happening in each situation. The suffering is not created by the opinion itself. The suffering emerges when the opinion is accepted as a verdict. The Stoics would ask a simple question: why should another person's judgment carry more weight than your own examination of reality? If someone calls a diamond worthless, the diamond remains unchanged. If someone insults a mountain, the mountain does not shrink. Likewise, if someone misunderstands your value, their misunderstanding does not alter your true nature. The challenge is not convincing others to see you correctly. The challenge is refusing to see yourself incorrectly because of them. This requires a profound shift in perspective. Most people approach life as performers standing before an audience. Every action becomes a performance. Every decision becomes a public relations campaign. Every achievement becomes an attempt to secure validation. But the Stoics viewed life differently. They saw life as a process of character development, rather than reputation management. When you wake each morning focused on becoming wiser, more disciplined, more courageous, and more just, external opinions lose much of their power. They become background noise rather than defining forces. Consider how much anxiety disappears when you no longer need every person to approve of your choices. You speak more honestly. You act more decisively. You pursue goals that matter to you instead of goals designed to impress others. You become difficult to manipulate because your actions are guided by principles rather than approval. This is where true confidence begins, not in believing everyone will admire you, not in assuming you will never face criticism, but in knowing that your peace does not depend on either. One of the most misunderstood sources of power in Stoic philosophy is silence. Modern culture encourages constant visibility. Everyone is expected to share opinions, announce plans, display achievements, and provide continuous updates about their lives. The Stoics often moved in the opposite direction. They understood that excessive exposure creates unnecessary vulnerability. Every announcement invites judgment. Every explanation invites debate. Every display invites comparison. This does not mean becoming secretive out of fear. It means becoming selective out of wisdom. There is immense strength in allowing your actions to speak before your words do. Many people sabotage themselves by seeking validation too early. They announce goals before accomplishing them. They reveal plans before developing them. They expose fragile ambitions to the opinions of those who neither understand nor support them. As a result, they become distracted by reactions rather than focused on execution. The Stoics knew that growth often requires privacy. A seed develops underground long before it becomes visible above the surface. The strongest transformations frequently occur away from public attention. There is a reason why some of history's most effective individuals cultivated habits of quiet discipline. They understood that energy spent defending plans is energy not spent achieving them. When you become comfortable operating without external recognition, something remarkable happens. Your motivation becomes internal. You no longer require applause to continue. You no longer depend on encouragement to persist. You become self-directed. This is a dangerous quality to possess in a world built on external validation. People who need approval are easily controlled. People who have outgrown that need become difficult to influence. This brings us to one of the harshest realities about criticism. Many criticisms are not objective evaluations of truth. They are emotional reactions. A person may criticize your discipline because it exposes their lack of discipline. They may mock your ambition because it reminds them of abandoned dreams. They may resent your boundaries because those boundaries limit their influence. The Stoics understood that people often judge others through the lens of their own struggles. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that when people behave poorly, they do so because they are mistaken about what is good and what is bad. Their actions emerge from confusion, ignorance, fear, insecurity, or flawed understanding. This realization creates a surprising form of compassion. Instead of becoming angry at criticism, you begin seeing it differently. You recognize that every judgment reveals something about the person making it. The angry person reveals anger. The jealous person reveals jealousy. The insecure person reveals insecurity. Their opinions become reflections of their internal world. This does not mean every criticism should be ignored. The Stoics were not advocates of arrogance. Constructive criticism can be valuable. Wise feedback can reveal blind spots. Truth sometimes arrives in uncomfortable forms. The key is learning to separate useful information from emotional noise. Ask yourself a simple question whenever criticism appears. Is there truth here that can improve my character or actions? If the answer is yes, learn from it. If the answer is no, release it. Either way, there is no reason to suffer. One of the greatest obstacles to becoming unmoved by opinion is the illusion that criticism is a sign of failure. In reality, criticism often indicates visibility. Anyone attempting something meaningful will encounter resistance. Anyone developing strength will attract opposition. Anyone refusing conformity will make some people uncomfortable. History provides endless examples. Philosophers were mocked. Inventors were ridiculed. Leaders were condemned. Artists were rejected. Yet many of the individuals now celebrated across centuries endured enormous criticism during their own lifetimes. The lesson is not that criticism proves you are right. The lesson is that criticism proves nothing by itself. The opinions of others are unreliable indicators of truth. What matters is whether your actions align with reason, virtue, and principle. When your focus remains there, external reactions lose their ability to dominate your emotional life. Perhaps the most powerful Stoic concept related to opinion is amor fati, the love of fate. Most people tolerate adversity. The Stoics aimed for something greater. They sought to embrace it. Imagine treating criticism not as an obstacle, but as training. Imagine viewing rejection as an opportunity to strengthen independence. Imagine seeing misunderstanding as a chance to practice patience. Every difficult interaction becomes material for growth. Every insult becomes a test of composure. Every judgment becomes an opportunity to reinforce inner stability. This transforms the entire experience. Instead of asking, "How do I avoid criticism?" you begin asking, "How can this criticism make me stronger?" The obstacle becomes the path. The challenge becomes the teacher. The discomfort becomes the forge. This mindset creates extraordinary resilience because it removes the possibility of defeat. If success helps you grow, you benefit. If criticism helps you grow, you benefit. If praise helps you grow, you benefit. If rejection helps you grow, you benefit. Everything becomes useful. Everything becomes fuel. And when everything becomes fuel, nothing can truly stop you. There is another truth that few people are willing to confront. Most of the opinions you fear are temporary. People are thinking far less about you than you imagine. The embarrassing mistake that keeps you awake at night is often forgotten by others within days. The judgment you obsess over may have occupied someone else's attention for only a few moments. Human beings are primarily focused on their own concerns, fears, ambitions, and problems. Recognizing this can be liberating. Much of the social pressure we experience is generated by imagination rather than reality. We create invisible audiences and then perform for them. We construct fictional judges and then fear their verdicts. The Stoic response is simple. Return to what is real. Return to your actions. Return to your values. Return to your character. That is where your power exists. That is where your freedom exists. And that is where a life of genuine strength begins. Because the individual who becomes unmoved by opinion does not become cold, arrogant, or indifferent to wisdom. They simply stop allowing the changing moods and judgments of others to dictate the direction of their life. They understand that praise can be as distracting as criticism. They understand that approval can become as addictive as any substance. And they understand that true freedom emerges only when the need for external validation is finally replaced by unwavering commitment to internal excellence. Asterisk, the moment you stop living for approval, a strange and uncomfortable silence enters your life. At first, that silence feels like loss. For years, perhaps decades, your decisions may have been guided by invisible expectations. You pursued certain goals because they earned admiration. You avoided certain risks because they invited criticism. You measured your progress through the reactions of others rather than through the development of your own character. When that pattern begins to break, you may experience a sense of emptiness. Who are you when nobody is applauding? Who are you when nobody is watching? Who are you when the crowd disappears? These questions reveal whether your identity has been built upon character or upon recognition. The Stoics repeatedly returned to this issue because they understood that dependency on external validation creates a fragile existence. If your happiness depends on praise, then criticism can destroy it. If your confidence depends on admiration, then rejection can shatter it. If your self-worth depends on public approval, then every opinion becomes a threat. True strength emerges only when your foundation rests on something more permanent. For the Stoics, that foundation was virtue, not wealth, not status, not popularity, not influence, virtue, wisdom in judgment, courage in difficulty, justice in action. Justice in action, defitcha, not influence, virtue, wisdom in judgment, courage in difficulty, justice in actions, not popularity, not influence, virtue, wisdom in judgment. Temperance and desire, these qualities cannot be granted by others and cannot be taken away by others. They belong entirely to the individual who cultivates them. This is why Stoicism remains so powerful in the modern world. Technology has amplified opinions to an unprecedented degree. Never before have human beings been exposed to so many judgments from so many strangers. Every day, people willingly place their peace of mind into the hands of individuals they have never met. A comment appears, an opinion is expressed, a criticism is posted, and suddenly an entire emotional state changes. The Stoics would find this deeply troubling, not because criticism exists, but because so many people voluntarily surrender control over themselves. Imagine handing the steering wheel of your life to every passerby you encounter. One person turns left, another turns right. A third slams on the brakes. A fourth accelerates recklessly. Chaos would be inevitable. Yet this is exactly how many people navigate their emotional lives. Their direction changes with every opinion. Their confidence rises and falls according to every reaction. Their peace depends on circumstances they cannot control. Stoicism offers a radically different approach. Hold the wheel yourself. Listen when wisdom appears. Ignore noise when it does not. Continue forward according to reason. This requires discipline because human beings are naturally drawn toward approval. We evolved as social creatures. Acceptance once carried significant survival advantages. Rejection often brought danger, but ancient instincts do not always serve modern realities. Many people still react to criticism as though it threatens survival. A negative opinion feels catastrophic. Disapproval feels unbearable. Embarrassment feels permanent. Yet when examined carefully, most of these experiences are temporary discomforts rather than genuine threats. The Stoics trained themselves to distinguish between discomfort and danger. This distinction is essential. A harsh comment may be uncomfortable. It is not dangerous. Being misunderstood may be frustrating. It is not dangerous. Being disliked by certain people may feel unpleasant. It is not dangerous. Once you recognize this, much of criticism loses its emotional force. You stop treating every judgment as an emergency. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop defending yourself against every accusation. Instead, you become selective. You choose your responses rather than being controlled by your emotions. This is where strategic silence becomes one of the most powerful tools available. Most people feel compelled to explain themselves. They defend every decision. They justify every action. They answer every accusation. They rush to correct every misunderstanding. The Stoics recognize that this habit often creates more problems than it solves. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding requires clarification. Not every attack warrants engagement. Sometimes silence communicates strength more effectively than any argument. This does not mean remaining silent because you are afraid. It means remaining silent because you are disciplined. There is a profound difference. Fearful silence comes from weakness. Strategic silence comes from control. When you no longer feel obligated to win every argument, you conserve enormous amounts of energy. When you stop chasing universal agreement, you gain time and focus. When you refuse to participate in pointless conflicts, you protect your peace. Many individuals spend years fighting battles that never needed to be fought. They argue with strangers. They defend themselves against rumors. They obsess over perceptions. They attempt to correct every false assumption. And in doing so, they sacrifice attention that could have been invested in meaningful growth. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. Despite holding immense power, he constantly reminded himself that the opinions of others would eventually disappear. The people praising him would die. The people criticizing him would die. Future generations would eventually disappear as well. At first glance, this may seem pessimistic. In reality, it is liberating. If all opinions are temporary, why grant them permanent authority over your life? If every judgment eventually fades, why allow it to determine your decisions today? This perspective creates emotional distance. The criticism that feels overwhelming in the present often appears insignificant when viewed from a larger time frame. Ask yourself a simple question. Will this matter in 5 years? Will this opinion matter in 10 years? Will this criticism matter at the end of my life? In most cases, the answer is obvious. What seems enormous now will eventually become irrelevant. The Stoics used this awareness to maintain perspective during moments of emotional turbulence. They refused to magnify temporary events into permanent problems. This ability becomes especially important when pursuing meaningful goals. Every worthwhile pursuit demands the courage to disappoint someone. Think carefully about this. If you commit fully to your ambitions, some people will not understand. If you establish strong boundaries, some people will become upset. If you change your habits, certain relationships may shift. If you pursue excellence, others may accuse you of arrogance. If you refuse conformity, criticism will inevitably follow. There is no path to greatness that avoids judgment. The desire to avoid criticism often becomes the very thing that prevents growth. People remain silent when they should speak. They remain comfortable when they should take risks. They remain average when they are capable of more. Not because they lack ability, because they fear opinion. The Stoics would argue that this fear represents a misuse of life itself. Your time is limited. Your potential is limited. Your opportunities are limited. Why spend these precious resources trying to satisfy expectations that constantly change? One crowd wants you to be more ambitious. Another wants you to be less ambitious. One group praises confidence. Another calls it arrogance. One person admires discipline. Another calls it obsession. Attempting to satisfy everyone guarantees that you satisfy no one, including yourself. The solution is not rebellion for its own sake. The solution is alignment. Align your actions with your principles. Align your choices with reason. Align your life with values you genuinely respect. Then accept whatever opinions follow. This acceptance represents one of the highest forms of freedom. Because freedom is not the absence of criticism. Freedom is the absence of dependency on criticism. The truly strong individual does not require positive opinions to continue moving forward, nor do they collapse when negative opinions appear. They remain steady. Like a mountain unaffected by changing weather. Like the ocean unconcerned with the opinions of those standing on the shore. This steadiness is not achieved overnight. It is forged through repeated practice. Every time criticism appears and you remain calm, strength grows. Every time rejection occurs and you continue forward, resilience grows. Every time misunderstanding arises and you maintain composure, wisdom grows. These moments become training grounds. And eventually something remarkable happens. The opinions that once controlled you begin losing their power. The comments that once haunted you no longer linger. The judgments that once created anxiety become background noise. Not because the world changed, because you changed. You stopped seeking identity from external sources. You stopped measuring worth through approval. You stopped negotiating your values for acceptance. And in doing so, you discovered a form of confidence that circumstances cannot easily shake. This is the confidence of self-respect, the confidence that comes from knowing you acted according to your principles, the confidence that comes from maintaining integrity when compromise would have been easier, the confidence that comes from becoming the author of your own judgments. This is why Stoicism ultimately leads toward peace, not the fragile peace that depends on favorable circumstances, not the temporary peace that depends on praise, but the deeper peace that emerges when you finally understand what belongs to you and what does not. Other people's opinions do not belong to you. Their approval does not belong to you. Their criticism does not belong to you. Their interpretations do not belong to you. What belongs to you are your choices, your character, your discipline, your response, your commitment to virtue. Protect these things with relentless dedication. Invest your energy where it produces results. Withdraw your attention from battles that cannot be won. Refuse to surrender your peace to temporary judgments. Refuse to become a prisoner of shifting opinions. And remember this: the people who seem impossible to intimidate, impossible to manipulate, and impossible to discourage are rarely those with the loudest voices. They are usually those who have mastered themselves. They have learned to stand alone when necessary. They have learned to continue without applause. They have learned to persist without recognition. They have learned that the crowd cannot grant them value and cannot take it away. This is the ultimate Stoic lesson. The moment you stop needing the world's permission to be yourself, you become genuinely free. And freedom, in its highest form, is not the power to control others. It is the power to remain master of yourself, regardless of what others think. When that day arrives, criticism loses its sting. Praise loses its intoxication. Fear loses its grip. And for the first time, perhaps in your entire life, you walk your path guided, not by the noise of the crowd, but by the quiet certainty of your own well-disciplined mind.